Love you forever. Well, sorry to break it to you, but I won't be around forever, so loving you will not happen forever. And well, life has a way of intervening, doesn't it? Death, disease, divorce, and other extenuating circumstances may intervene, and one of them always does. So it's nothing personal. It just can't be forever. But it's a common sentiment. Yeah, we find it in graffiti, scribbles, lyrics, high literature, so-called. Um, I think instead we should be writing the curse of forever. Or let's call it foreveritis, like a disease. It is a mental disease, I believe. It's patently dishonest to believe anything is forever. But as I say, it's a very common sentiment. Um, I'll go to my notes. Question: does forever exist? Well, it's a question for scientists, but science can't prove that anything is forever or eternal because scientists are not immortal. And if they were, they would need eternity to prove that eternity exists. This means science is silly when applied to metaphysical and religious questions. The psychologist should ask a more important question about forever. The psychologist should ask, is believing we can experience something forever mentally healthy? This is an important question because my experience tells me that believing we can experience something forever is a mental illness and always leads to trouble and pain and stress. Unfortunately, most people dream and believe in forever. They don't want to know or even imagine that what they love will not be forever. Fearing the loss of something, they devote their lives to controlling it, building walls around it. And when they lose the thing or person they love, they become sick with anger or misery. Many people want to live forever, so they believe in one religion or another, or fall for longevity scams, or the adrenochrome foolishness. Yes, it's foolishness. Maybe adrenochrome addicts can gain a month, a year, or more, but in return they pay with a lifetime of fear. Because if you devote your life to living forever, to the impossible, you devote your mind to the idea of forever. That means you make yourself mentally sick. Mental health and true happiness come only to people who, I believe, from experience, develop the mental strength to think, imagine, and know nothing is forever and everything must pass. That is not, however, the same as the religious notions of resignation and surrender. Being wise does not lead to passively accepting injustice, putting everything in God's hands, as cowards do. Nor does it lead to doing nothing, to live a long life. I expect to live to 100. I'm taking measures, actions to do that because I like living, go figure. But I will do it not by relying on doctors, hospitals, and syringes. Syringes? I will do it as nature intended, which is the easiest of all ways. Nothing is easier in some ways than my diet and my lifestyle. Meanwhile, I am living during a pandemic of foreveritis. Children want to have their phones forever. Tell them they won't have their phones tomorrow, or that you can't afford internet, and many will rage or cry, maybe jump off a balcony. Try to take away people's comforting illusions about life, progress, politics, doctors, the shape of the earth, or the healthiness of wine and alcohol in general. And too many adults will argue angrily, laugh at you, or find some other way to not consider your evidence. They're not capable of questioning their beliefs. They want their beliefs forever and ever. What happens to such people if time takes away a loved one through death, dementia, or divorce? The pain that follows is proof that we fell for the spell of forever. If a lover or a spouse cheats, as we like to say, who has the mental health and wisdom to say without bitterness, "Well, nothing is forever. I am sorry I did not satisfy you. I hope you find the happiness you deserve." Who can lose what they loved and say that? Almost no one. At least if my experience is any indication. But don't expect psychologists and psychoanalysts to understand that foreveritis is a serious mental disease. They are busy coddling us, working to keep us weak and dependent on their services. Now I will share some of the results of my recent search in books and lyrics for evidence that humanity is suffering from a foreveritis pandemic. Let's start with our favorite book, the Bible. A quick search for the words forever, always, and never will produce a total of some 700 perhaps iterations of those words. 289 in a New International Version of the word forever. Psalm 136 is a good one. His love endures forever. Give thanks to the God of gods. His love endures forever. I think that this gets repeated a few times because, you have to repeat things that are unbelievable in order to convince yourself that it's possible. Living forever perhaps is the most intense form of foreveritis, or the desire to live forever. It starts in Genesis 3:22, the first mention of the word forever. God said, "The man has now become like one of us. Oh no, knowing good and evil." Why would he need to know that? He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. What a stupid God. Actually thinks people could live forever. What kind of brain spawned such a God? Could it be the brains of people who were themselves obsessed with living forever? You don't say. Genesis 6:3, then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with humans forever. Well, no doubt, because you won't live forever. You'll be free of us eventually. And in Genesis 13:15, I think God is speaking to Abraham. And he says to him, all the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. Well, sorry again to break it to you, Almighty God, but land probably won't persist forever either. So you could take that part back. This is my name forever. It will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. No. And funny, this is my name forever. He's not supposed to have a name among Jews, just the generic title God. An inheritance forever, 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 etc. Let's skip ahead to John, the New Testament. What did the author see fit to write regarding forever? I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. What a nice Jesus, ready to give up his body to the cannibals and the adrenochrome addicts. This is their fantasy work, of course. They would like all of us to be like Jesus. Give up the body and blood. Well, we're giving up perhaps even more than that to the banker's banquet. John 6:58, this is the bread that came down from heaven, like manna. Your ancestors ate manna and died, but whoever feeds on this bread will live forever. Someone's got an obsession about living forever. Of course, it's basic honesty to understand that we don't live forever. Our senses tell us that, and we live according to our senses. We just seem to make an exception when it comes to death. No, death. Somehow there, our senses are not sufficient. There must be something beyond the senses. Yeah, isn't that what we also should say, perhaps, when we miss a bus and say, oh no, we didn't miss the bus. It will be here in 5 minutes. Next. A little surprise. A poem from allegedly, a Persian, Arab, I don't know, Islamic poet, 12th century, allegedly, but probably closer to the 18th, 19th centuries. Anyway, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, famous little poem about wine and the brevity of life, and wine makes everything better. Oh yes, wine. We know that. We know that symbol, don't we? Let's see if our suspicions are correct. I won't read the whole thing. It is a few pages, but I've highlighted important parts, so let's have a look. Awake for morning in the bowl of night. The bowl has flung the stone. I guess that's the sun. that puts the stars to flight. And lo, the hunter of the east has caught the Sultan's turret in a noose of light. A noose of light. It's like nature and life have now become deadly. Dawn is a noose. Crazy stuff here. Moving on. Dreaming when dawn's left hand was in the sky, I heard a voice within the tavern cry. A tavern is a place that serves alcohol, wine. Awake, my little ones, and fill the cup before life's liquor in its cup be dry. Why little ones? Why little ones? This is odd. No, it's suspicious. Could it be that this is a hint at the adrenochrome narrative, taking blood from little ones and injecting it in order to gain perhaps a little youthfulness, a little longevity, perhaps some healing. Life's liquor, yes, turns out that will be not just any liquor, but red wine, of course. And here comes the evidence. He does mention Jesus in this poem. Jesus, whose blood is symbolized by red wine, whose life-giving blood ensures, they say, immortality, eternity in heaven. But still the vine, her ancient ruby, yields. The vine, yes, the vine that produces wine. Not just any color wine, ruby-colored wine. The rubaiyat produces the voice of red wine. Red wine, well, okay, he made it very clear. We're not playing with Islamic literalism. No, this is Christian symbolism from a supposedly non-Christian author. Well, who knows? Here, with a loaf of bread beneath the bough, a flask of wine, a book of verse, and thou. So now we have the bread and the wine together. Yes, we are in the Christian symbolic world. I sometimes think that never blows, or really grows, so red, the rose, as where some buried Caesar bled. So the rose is gaining life from the blood poured onto the ground by Julius Caesar. And, well, Julius Caesar is code for Jesus, Julius Caesar, Jesus Christ, JC and JC. Anything else worth double checking, reading? Then to this earthen bowl did I adjourn, my lip the secret well of life to learn. The well of life, the spring of eternal life, almost the same. And lip to lip it murmured, while you live, drink, for once dead you never shall return. Oh, by the way, conventional reading assumes that Omar Khayyam is only talking about alcohol. But this is a poem full of symbols. And yeah, the wine and the alcohol do symbolize, I'm sorry to say, adrenochrome, the blood of children. Why an earthen bowl? Perhaps because they consider the entire earth their food. Well, something they eat from, something they consume, not something they help grow, thrive. No, it's just a big feast for them. A bit like some of the paintings by Bruegel, where everyone is eating everyone else. No one is growing anything. Um, Fill the cup. What boots it to repeat? What use is it to repeat? How time is slipping underneath our feet. Unborn tomorrow and dead yesterday. Why fret about them if today be sweet? Yeah, one moment of the well of life to taste. The well of life. From the little ones who serve you in the so-called, what was it? Not the tavern, the tavern, or was it the cavern? You know, my friends, how long since in my house for a new marriage I did make carouse. Divorced old barren reason from my bed and took the daughter of the vine to spouse. The daughter of the vine, not the young ladies, young girls, now are children of the vine. It's like humans and red wine are now conflated into one. Because, yes, their blood and the juice of the vine or the red wine are now the same to him. The subtle alchemist that in a trice life's leaden metal into gold transmute. That's another clue, of course. He doesn't want to openly state what he's indirectly stating. He's writing about adrenochrome and his love of, or his desire to extend his life this way, and his love of that substance. Alchemists were, of course, also supposedly obsessed with finding a substance, something that could impart immortality to people. Transmuting metal into gold would have been their maybe secondary obsession. Anyway, to mention the alchemists means to invoke the alchemical obsession with immortality. Oh, one while the rose. Oh, yes. You know, these are also, of course, symbols. The rose is a symbol in secret societies and Christianity. The checkerboard, the Freemasons, the ball. The ball follows the checkerboard, the circle and the square, the compass and the square. Symbols, symbols. And like the Bible, which also supports the flat earth, Omar Khayyam does the same by referring to the sky as an inverted bowl. Perfect. All right, let's move on to Shakespeare, the genius of the English language. No, not even close. Well, many of his sonnets are obsessed with time, aging, and death. No less than 22, I believe. His solutions, his remedies, suggestion was to reproduce, have children. Children can give you the illusion of living forever. Or write poems. You can immortalize yourself in poetry. Yeah, these are jokes, of course. This is what they offer us while they indulge in adrenochrome. They give us religion and this nonsense about children and poetry, while they indulge in adrenochrome. Um, let's have a close look at one of Shakespeare's sonnets, Sonnet 119 or 911. They do like to choose their numbers carefully. This is an important little sonnet because it has hints, evidence. What potions have I drunk of siren tears? There's Omar Khayyam almost again. Siren tears. What potions? It sounds like witchery. Also sounds like something very tragic. You're drinking tears. This does not bode well. Siren tears. Why siren tears? I had to think about that. You know, I've been calling those adrenochrome needles hypodermic needles, but recently started using the word syringes again. And there you have it. Siren, syringe. Is it coincidence? Did Shakespeare really mean tears in a syringe? Well, and do the tears symbolize blood taken from children? They would be associated with tears, I suppose. Drunk of silent tears, drunk on silent tears, we would say, distilled from limbex, foul as hell within. This does sound like witchcraft. Limbex are some kind of distilling device. I don't know if they have to distill blood to produce adrenochrome, or if adrenochrome is just blood taken from people in a state of fear. Applying fears to hopes. Oh, applying fears to hopes. Whose fears? The fears of the people being drained. I do think they would do that while they're alive. Don't want dead blood. Their fears traded for, the fears of the victims for the hopes of the adrenochrome addicts. Still losing when I saw myself to win. Not sure what to do with that. What wretched errors hath my heart committed? Wretched errors. Killing children, would that be an wretched error? Whilst it has thought itself so blessed never. So he's admitting he's committing errors, but he's thinking he's extremely blessed. Well, that's a conflicted mind, not a healthy state of mind. Oh, benefit of ill. Yeah, oh, goodness of evil. Now I find true that better is by evil, still made better. And gain by ills, gain by evil, 3 times more than I have spent. In other words, the evil is worth committing because the result is so good. The end justifies the means. Thank you, Shakespeare. A syringe, in case you needed to be reminded. There we go. Yes, it's important to note at this moment that syringes have measuring lines. Um, so they know how much they inject. Measuring lines, what's another word? Doesn't come to mind. Popular songs that speak about forever and always, never. Um, let's go to AI. There's so many songs, and yeah, I'm sure you know. I keep hearing the word forever and always. Not that I listen to music, but sometimes you have no choice when you're in public areas. Oh, well, I do listen to some music, just virtually never music with lyrics. I love you always, so forever, always, forever, and just to reinforce the idea by repeating the concept with a different word, always, forever. And someone named an entire song, Always and Forever. I don't know these people, these bands. The Eternity Anthem, Forever, Shania Twain. Oh, of course, I lived in Canada. Forever and for always. Forever and ever, amen. Randy Travis. We are young. Okay, we were all young once. I will always love you by Whitney Houston, always by Bon Jovi, always be my baby. Oh, goodness. There are mothers who do want their children to be their babies forever. This is a mental illness, particular, I think, unique among women, mothers. Always be my baby. Absolute boundaries. Never, never. We are never, ever getting back together. That might be true if this person you speak of is dead. But otherwise, why not stay open-minded? Anyway, you get the idea. Let's focus on actual set of lyrics by a band and a songwriter that are famous for producing deeper lyrics, more profound, almost literary lyrics, really poems. We could go that far. By Rush, another Canadian resource. Farewell to Kings album, there is a song. What's the song called? Is it called Xanadu or Farewell to Kings? I think who was it written by? Not important. Geddy Lee, Neil Peart, Alec. Took 3 people to write this. All right. And what is it about? Of course, it's about immortality. Oh, it's so desirable. The people who wrote this are clearly suffering or clearly suffered from foreveritis. Maybe I'll read the whole thing. To seek the sacred river Alf, to walk the caves of ice, ice being perhaps a symbol of the unchanging forever world. To break my fast on honeydew and drink the milk of paradise. The land of honey and milk and honey. It's a concept introduced by the Bible first. I'm quite sure they were meant to refer to the cannibal diet, the bread and wine, the body and blood. I had heard the whispered tales of immortality, the deepest mystery, from an ancient book I took a clue. I scaled the frozen mountain tops of eastern lands unknown. Time and man alone searching for the lost. Xanadu. No, you are lost. Xanadu ain't lost. I scaled the frozen mountain tops. Oh, the East, the magical East, where all the religious mysteries originate. No, actually, they originated in the West. To stand within the pleasure dome decreed by Kubla Khan. Khan, by the way, I've spoken about in some of my books. Khan is a derivative of the German surname Khan with almost the exact same spelling, just move the letter H over one letter. It's an invention. Like the Ottoman Empire, Otto is German, Man is German. To taste anew the fruits of life, the last immortal man. To find the sacred river Alf, to walk the caves of ice, and the milk of paradise, blah, blah. Waiting for the world to end. 1,000 years have come and gone, but time has passed me by. I don't think so. Held within the pleasure dome. And there's that word dome again, too, for the flat earthers. You know, Xanadu is within the pleasure dome. The whole planet is a pleasure dome. And not quite today. Yeah, enough. Was there a reference to a siren here? Oh, I think I'm missing something important. One moment. I must have overlooked. Perhaps not. I thought we had. Why? I'm not even on the right page anymore. Good grief. We must move on. Aha, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Yes, Rush also produced a song with titled "The Temples of Syrinx." Syrinx, right? Remember siren and syringe. Let's have a look at these lyrics. I think they're too long to read. The temples of Syrinx, the meek shall inherit the earth. Oh, yes. That's Jesus speaking in the Beatitudes. The meek shall inherit the earth when they die and are buried in it. The meek, that means the people who comply and do nothing. We've taken care of everything. The words you hear, the songs you sing, the pictures that give pleasure to your eyes. These are our controllers, yes. They have produced everything for us. They've created our culture for us. We are the priests of the temples of Syrinx. Syringe, our great computers fill the hallowed halls. We are the priests of the temples of Syrinx. All the gifts of life are held within these walls. The gifts of life. Oh, is that perhaps the Red Cross speaking? give the gift of life, your blood. And behind that, of course, it's the adrenochrome cult speaking about the gift of life. We, or the people I don't know, children I don't know, being sacrificed for them. Yes, the temples of syringe. A syrinx is also a medical word, had no idea. Refers to a fluid-filled cyst or cavity within the spinal cord. So again, we're talking about a cavity, a space filled with fluid, like a syringe. And Greek mythology, a syrinx was a nymph who was transformed into water reeds. Reeds are long, tube-like plant structures. And these reeds were fashioned into a musical instrument by the god Pan. Yes, his flute is made of several reeds, I guess, or hollowed out pieces of wood. Syrinx. Are we onto something here? Are we perhaps now syrinx is linked to reeds? So let's have go back to the Bible, our favorite book, of course, and see what it does with reeds. If there's any connection to cannibalism, adrenochrome addiction. First iteration of reeds in Genesis 41. When out of the river there came upon 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. Well, if the reeds are the syringes, now they're connected to eating. The cows are eating, but cows are not symbols of the adrenochrome club members, the World Cannibal Club. No, they're not. They're symbols of us, symbols for us. And of course, and maybe I shouldn't have to say this to the authors, but cows do not graze among reeds. That's wetland. And cows are not suited for grazing in wetlands. They would get hoof rot or whatever. They just don't do that. Genesis 41:18. When out of the river came up 7 cows. Hey, it's the same verse. You got to love the Bible. It's like a giant lyric. I have to keep repeating. Exodus 2, verse 3. Then she placed the child, that's baby Moses, among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. A baby. And that's exactly the age the adrenochrome addicts like. Babies. They have the best blood, I suppose. And it's placed among the reeds. The syringes. And there's more about Moses, the baby Moses. Yeah, he's placed in a basket like a piece of food. Excellent. Just like Jesus was placed in a manger, a long open box for that holds the fodder, the feed of animals, livestock. I wanted to go ahead somewhere. Reeds. Oh yeah, we can look at some of the numbers. Those important ones. 11, Job 11, 8, 11. Can reeds thrive without water? Can reeds... 41, 68, 39, 19, 36, the three sixes. Look, I know you are depending on Egypt, that splintered reed of a staff, which pierces the hand of anyone who leans on it. So it's going to draw blood, a reed. Such is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who depend on him. Pharaoh is like a reed. Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Well, the king, as I have explained in other lectures, kings are sacrificial humans. A bruised reed he will not broken. That's not an important number. 58, 29, 11 again in Matthew. As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. Why did you go out into the wilderness? What did you go out in the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind? No, of course not. It's a rhetorical question. No one goes out to see reeds swaying in the wind, but he might go out. He might go a long way for a syringe full of adrenochrome. Revelation, the last, I end with that. 11, verse 1. I was given a reed like a measuring rod. A measuring rod. Remember, syringes have measuring marks. A reed like a measuring rod, and was told, go and measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshippers. Go and measure. That's a funny word, the word measure. It can be used as a noun to mean a quantity or of a substance. So maybe go and give a measure. The measuring rod provides a measure. A measure of what? Red wine? Perhaps. Here is, just in case you were not familiar with measure being a noun, a device used for measuring a system of a unit specified by a scale. A reference standard sample used for a definite quantity that has been measured out. For example, a measure of wine, thank you. We need say no more. To conclude this little lecture and adventure, I'll just say that foreveritis is a mental disease from which both we and our masters are suffering. Well, most of us, I trust. I hope most of my listeners are above it, beyond it, have overcome it, dealt with it, or will do so. It's not easy to be healthy in this world. Beware of what you drink and eat, consume mentally as much as physically. With that, I will share my contact. All this will, of course, have to be added to one of my books. It's just too good to miss. And my books, now 2 of them are nearly ready and on Lulu, which can print them any day now. If you wish to reach me, that can be done.